On March 4th of this year, so that was 15 days ago, this YouTube user shared with the KaM Discord community the following corn abuse replay. We can call this the hungry animal breeder bug, I guess. This is just in the r15122 and maybe the earlier beta versions, I'm not sure which, but I'm just going to fast forward. And basically in this version of the remake, this is legal to take out a unit from the house, vacate the house. But I'm going to put him back in. And he feeds the pig. The pig got bigger, right? But I'm going to stop him and I'm going to go back in again immediately. And then that pig got fed. And I'm going to go back in. And that pig got fed. So you can bypass the entire feeding time this way, and therefore effectively reduce the runtime from a little over 30 seconds to maybe 4 seconds total that it takes him to come out and go back in and start again. You'll basically be able to cheat out 30 seconds of work. And this was 9 farms for 2 swine farms. Now let's assume that it's 5 seconds from when we vacate him and then when he goes back in. So let me just do that again just to make sure. So at 10:25 I'm going to vacate him and then I'm going to immediately put him back. So no, it's like 3 seconds really. But let's just say 4 seconds. Let's round up one. So let's say 4 seconds. 4 seconds instead of 31 seconds, which is normally what it takes. And this is my build ratio tool. I'm going to be using this to calculate how many farms can actually feed one swine farm that works that fast. Does the 9 farms he have really demonstrate how much a swine farm like this can consume? If you have 2 of them and it's 9 farms, I'm really thinking that they can take a lot more farms than that. But we'll see. I'm not exactly sure the exact farm efficiency of this, but I can test it out real quick. It looks like it's at 72.44. Just going up for 3 hours, it looks like it's still around there, 72.4. Let's say that this little setup he has here is 72.5 farm efficiency. That means it's corn per farm per hour. I just typed that here, because what I want to do is I want to see how many of these farms of this efficiency is required to power just one of these swine farms if they run for 4 seconds. So I have to change that. I have to go to the time here, and this is, I need to change the remake version too. This is r6720. I need to change it to r15122. So I made these changes that I didn't show yet in the video. I'm going to be showing an update to this with another tool that I keep talking about in the comments of some of my videos, but as you saw, it was a drop down and you change it. Now I go here, so the values are a little different, but now we're in the r15122 version. Come down here, and I'm going to change this just to solid 4. I'm going to go back, and I want to make one swine farm. I have to do that indirectly. I'm going to use goal seek, and I want to, let's say, use the butchers. I have to first select this, the swine farm that produces pigs, and I want to set it to 1 to make one swine farm, and I want to make it 1 by saying how many butchers I need to make that swine farm 1, if that makes sense. So for those who didn't see that video, I'll provide a link to it and the video before it in the video description if you're interested in this tool. I just press OK and I wait. Now it's 1 swine farm. So there you go, that's the answer. Just about 12.5 of these farms if it was the same efficiency. So basically 13 where one of them has half his fields. So definitely all these farms right here is not enough for one of these. You would need 13 of them basically for one. And that's if you could somehow manually do this all the time and do everything else in your build too. The same day that Vovitz1 shared the bug, I made a script to correct it. Well, it doesn't correct it, but it keeps it in check. It discourages players from using it. And that's because, and this is a little test map I have here, but if I will vacate the house and put him back immediately, he comes out and dies. And this is a little test I did because this is a script I wrote and I needed to see that you can build a house and it will still register and monitor things. But as you saw, I already pulled him out once and he died. I pulled him out again, but I pulled him out there after he was done the normal run time when he was taking a break. So he didn't die, but this time I pulled him out again that now the break didn't start yet, so he dies. So that's basically how I'm testing this. So I wrote the script to not penalize you to take him out accidentally or for normal reasons and then to put it back in, it's not going to just kill him if you just vacate the house. But if you vacate it early and have him go back in right away. But if the amount of time that when you vacate the house to when it would be the normal time for him to finish, or it's longer, then he won't die. That's how I have this fix here, and this will work for all players on a map. So if you want to install this script for a multiplayer map, I'm going to show you how to do that in a short bit. But firstly, I want to mention that 2 days later, I wanted to play devil's advocate and make a script that will help you to abuse the bug. Be able to do this all the time, constantly for you. That way you can have 13 of these farms to power one of these guys. For example, basically change the game's golden ratio for the swine farm and also the stables. It's not just the swine farm, it's just the animal breeders in general with the farms, because this can really help to build fewer buildings, get really fast results, and it could be very interesting for master builds. I was not aware of this bug beforehand, but when I saw it, I was immediately repelled because I'm taking building in this game very seriously, and to see something like that was very discomforting. But this is a test I did with the corn exploit, where the script is automatically going to vacate the house as soon as possible. And you can see a pig is immediately produced, right? And the problem with this is if you want to do this by hand and you have multiple animal breeders, not only is it impossible to vacate them all like this, and not just like these two are coming out at the same time because they both started at the same time, because I just started this test map. But they're all going to be bumping in and out of their houses at different times, in theory, because they're all built at different times and they eventually eat and so forth. Just to micromanage that, it's impossible for a human to do that. So it's just to manage this is impossible for a human to do. But another thing is that right now, notice I'm having him starve. And I wanted to, in this test, I wanted him to starve because I wanted to see that when an animal breeder dies, like in a real game when it can happen, if he dies from starvation or he gets killed by the enemy, if the script is going to still keep track of him and his building and all. It's just a way to test the integrity of the script and try to break it. I put a lot of detail into the script to not only do that, but when they all come out and you have multiple animal breeders, what I was trying to say earlier is that they have a tendency to want to go into each other's building. Like when you vacate this one, and this one is also free, when you want him to go back in, he's going to want to go into this swine farm instead of this one. Any free animal breeder is going to want to go into the house that you just vacate. So they're going to be shuffling around between swine farms, and then it's going to ruin the quote-unquote efficiency of this whole thing. If there's like a 15-20 second delay, you might as well not even use it. It needs to be the 4-second runtime that I was mentioning earlier to make this really worthwhile to use. And so I wrote the script to ensure that they, for the most part, are going to go into their own houses, even when there's multiple conflicts like this. They're all they all are coming in and out, but he's about to die because I took the food out of the end and I didn't put any more in. That's something that you can do in the beta. And you can see it doesn't matter that I built some new animal breeder buildings in the process and then one starved. It didn't matter. They all were still behaving like you would expect. You wouldn't know the things that go wrong unless you're a scripter for this game. You wouldn't know, but it's behaving like expected, and that's the important thing. So now I'm going to show you how to install both scripts. Obviously, you don't want to install both scripts to the same map at the same time. It makes no sense. And I don't even know what would happen if you did, but it wouldn't really matter. But maybe you noticed in that test with the corn abuse that the horses were not appearing in the stables, and that's because I took out the animal breeder too fast. So I'm going to show you that I fixed it. Basically, he has to be in there for a certain number of deciseconds or fractions of a second before the horse will appear. It's not like the swine farm that it's instant. It's a little different. But I just want to show you that. Let me train one for here. Let me just show you that now the horses appear. I fixed that. But unlike the swine farm, the pigs will disappear like they should. The horses don't disappear. They stay in the stables. And another thing that doesn't make sense is that when I wrote the script to bring in and out the animal breeders, they would not yield pigs and skins when the pig disappeared. So in my script, I have a corn formula here that basically says that for every swine farm and stables you have when you started out, it's going to waste 8 corn. Then for every pig you want to slaughter and for every horse you want to breed and release to the barracks, it's going to cost an additional 4 corn. And so because the slaughtered pigs and skins are mysteriously not deposited into the swine farm when the pigs disappear, and similarly with the horses, when a certain amount of corn is done that a horse should appear and it doesn't, I use this equation in my scripts code in order to manually add in the pigs and skins into the swine farm and the horses into the stable when it's time. That's a very simple formula, but it represents the randomness in this game for the animal breeders very well for the most part, and I'm saying for like 99.9% of the time. When you have 5 pigs in a farm like this, then it might throw it off some, but that general formula assumes that it's 4 pigs or 4 horses at a time. But regardless of how often 5 pigs appear in the swine farm, it still models their yield very well. So just write down this formula if you want, just to know how much corn you need, and the F is for flour. So this is my corn required equation. I have it in my build order tool, and also in this tool, and some features that I did not show with it yet. It's an update I made for it. Basically, it's to help to calculate the momentum time for the swine farms and the stables, something that has to do with duration. But anyway, the point of this again was to show that now the horses appear in the stables, because in this demonstration there was no horses, but mysteriously horses were made, but you don't see any in the building, so it just looks more aesthetically pleasing. Basically, assume that the map we want to install the script to is called corn bug fix, which it's not, but this is it. I go in here and most or all of the files are going to begin with the same name. So what you want to do is just basically, to make things fast, you sort by type and then find the script file that's named the same thing as what all of the files or most of the files are named. Then you're going to right click on it and you're going to open it up. I have Notepad++, but if you have a default text editor in Windows like WordPad or Notepad, it's fine. You're just going to copy this line of code here, which I'm going to provide in the video description above it. I'm going to specifically say this is for the corn bug fix, and I'll have a similar line for the corn bug exploit, but you're going to paste the line in here because this is the script file for the map, or this is the map's script file. You're going to paste it to the very beginning. So if there's already code in here at the first line, just type enter at the very beginning and paste it in and just save it and then X out. And that's all you have to do. Of course, I'm going to delete that because it's not real code, and this map script file didn't have any code in it. That's why it's the only thing in here. But otherwise, yeah. But it shouldn't be a big deal, it just takes a few seconds. And this is the script itself. So that's this. You're just going to copy this and paste it into the map folder, and it's as simple as that. And this script is 78 lines, so not very involved for the fix, which basically will kill the animal breeder if you try to abuse him. And these numbers here are exact. I had to experiment some. I wish I could say I calculated it, but because the stables is different than the swine farm and I've never dealt with them like this before, I had to experiment to get the exact number that it's the bare minimum time for them to come in and out. And this is time in ticks, where every tick is 1, so it's 17.4 seconds for the stables, 28.7 seconds for the swine farm. For the corn bug exploit map, it's the same exact situation. I'm just going to sort by type, and we have the main map script. You're just going to include this line, which I will provide in the video description, so you can copy and paste it. And this script is 200 lines. This one was much more involved because I had to, again, ensure that all the animal breeders stick with their building. You have to keep track of when they die, and when you build a new house, everything. And again, I fixed this, that the horses now appear, and I already showed that. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Have fun with this, whether you want to actually exploit the bug or give you a peace of mind. You can go to sleep tonight knowing that if you play with some people on a multiplayer map, that they can't abuse this bug. But that's it. Have a nice day. Yeah, 12.5 farms for one of these guys. Wow.